Greetings and welcome everyone, friends, family, and unknown neighbors in diverse places. This is my second attempt at trying out Freedom Planet. But first, story.
Did this happen? Our walls are impenetrable!
Your floor isn't.
Well then, if death is what you seek, then I will gladly provide it!
There's no reason to be hostile, Your Majesty. In fact, you should be proud. Your son is moments away from inheriting the throne.
Dale!
I tried, Father!
What do you want with us?
How shall I explain this? I'm gifting your son with my knowledge. It will make him the most powerful ruler your world has ever known. And he will answer to no one but me.
No! Murderer!
Prepare the Snatcher.
A crisis has befallen our world. For centuries we have depended on the Kingdom Stone, but its strength is fading. It cannot keep up with our growing demand for energy. The Prince of Shuiga, poisoned with madness over the death of his father, has bred machines across the land to steal energy from other kingdoms. Tensions are growing, and I fear that war may be inevitable.
And there you have it. Freedom Planet is officially afoot. Now this is the early PC demo from at least a year ago, so game has changed a bit since then, I'm sure. Plan on getting the full game eventually, but for now this will have to do. Just want to show off the basics. There are a lot of other videos on YouTube if you want to see the game in depth a little bit more, so by all means. Like last time, I'm going to be starting off with Carol, except this time we're going to use her for Relic Maze. We're going to save Lilac for Dragon Valley. Because apparently Lilac is a dragon, which completely caught me by surprise because she looks like anything but a dragon, don't you think? I thought she was a mammal of some kind, but hey. So here we have Carol, who is apparently a wildcat, which again is not immediately obvious, despite the ears and the tail and the clawing. I don't know if it's the green tint or what that's throwing things off, but I didn't think cat when I first saw her, but it makes enough sense, I think. So here her wall jump is going to come in handy right off the bat to traverse this landscape. And so far, so good. Frame rate seems to be much smoother than the last attempt, which is the main reason why I felt compelled to record this again. Thanks to one of my viewers, I realized that the game was moving a lot more sluggish than it should have been. And it recorded exactly how I was playing, so I didn't notice it immediately. But looking back, yes, it is very discernible. But that's my own fault for not actually watching the video before I uploaded it. I was in a bit of a haste and was really eager to upload it, and that's what happens when you rush sometimes, you know, accidents happen. So I'm gonna leave it up for comparison's sake, but I do think that this will be the superior run of the game. And it's all just a test drive anyway, so, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect because at this stage the game isn't perfect either. But just to give you a taste of what's to come, if you are interested, by all means, the game is available right now on GOG and Steam. I don't have a Steam account just yet, so I'll probably be picking it up on GOG just so that I don't have to be online in order to play it. And here, I've already gotten much further in this stage than I did on my last attempt. And this is actually only my second time playing the game. The first time was during the last recording, so I haven't played it in between times, so you can already see I'm playing much better already. But again, I think Carol's moveset is more compatible with the stage layout. You know, the wall jump. She seems like she's a better Sonic clone in terms of spinning and rolling. So despite the fact that Lilac has a more or less a spin dash maneuver, I just seem to gel more with Carol's playing and her moveset. So I think if I do get the full game like I intend to, she will probably be my main character. It seems that a lot of people prefer Lilac. I think it has more to do with her design than anything else. And, you know, I don't have anything against her. She's a fine character. But, I don't know. Like I said, Carol is just more in line with what I like in a 2D platformer. For example, here you see me using the wall jump. I mean, yeah, what can I say? I love wall jumping. If I could choose any ability to do in real life, right after flying, I think wall jump would be my next pick. And here, I don't know how, but somehow I got the bright idea to try to use that block to defeat the boss in a hurry, and it actually worked. I promise you, I did not see that in any video beforehand. I did not look anything up. I'm just playing off the top of my head. You know, I make a lot of blunders in my playing, but every now and then I have moments of insight. So not to give myself too much credit, but I'm not gonna lie, I feel a little proud of myself for having had that light bulb go off. Because as soon as I saw that block, I'm thinking, I wonder if... But you know, it comes from all my time as an experimental gamer. And I'm just an experimental person by nature, I think. Whether it's music or any form of production or any form of playing, I'm the type of person that likes to test things out. I like to kind of go off the... What's the word I'm looking for? I like to take the road less traveled, so to speak. You know, I don't mind venturing out way into left field sometimes. And that was just an example of that. I like to think out of the box as much as possible when it's appropriate. I am a practical person as well, but yeah, I like the fact that they thought things like that up for the game. Little set pieces and little secrets and little bonuses and alternative methods of doing the same thing, you know. I'm all for games that allow different people to have a different experience based on their thinking and play style, you know. And that's what I loved about the original Sonic the Hedgehog games. You know, a lot of people will tell you different things about what made the original Sonic games so good or what they were designed to be like in the first place, but I think a lot of that will vary depending on your play style. You know, a lot of people really do remember the old Sonic games, much as we think of the more recent entries like the Rush series and Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Generations as just, you know, hold right to win or go fast, gotta go fast. And really, they were not like that at all. But again, I'm basing that on my experience with them, based on my perspective, based on my perception. And the same goes with anybody else. Because you could play the old Sonic games just like that. Although really, you couldn't really just hold right to win, because back then, the stages veered left and right and panned back and forth. They took you in all directions. And there were far less bottomless pits. In fact, some of the games, such as Sonic CD and Knuckles Chaotix, had 0 bottomless pits. And I just think that's amazing, and it's a testament to good level design. Well, excluding Knuckles Chaotix, because even though it didn't have bottomless pits, you know, it did not have the best level design. It seemed very rushed in that regard. But one thing I like about Freedom Planet here is it seems so far there are no bottomless pits as well. So I don't know if that'll hold up throughout the game, but it's a good place to start. I don't mind later stages having a few bottomless pits as an extra difficulty curve, but it should not be the norm, in my opinion. Not for a good 2D side-scroller. And here, it looks like they're taking a cue from, what was that Game Gear stage? Sunset Park, I want to say, in one of the Sonic games. I don't remember if that was Sonic Triple Trouble or Sonic Chaos. I think it was Sonic Triple Trouble, but there was some stage in a Game Gear Sonic game where you were on a train or something along those lines. So as you can see, we cleared out Relic Maze this time without a problem, so kind of surprised myself there. I was kind of bumbling around the last attempt, not really getting anywhere, not really doing anything, but like I said, I kind of lean on things like a wall jump. So here we're using Lilac now, and you know, trying to get accustomed to her moves. She's a little bit differently. It seems like she has a lot more melee geared abilities, most of which I haven't discovered yet. I'm guessing there's more in the final game. I know she has a downward jump kick that I don't think I've utilized yet. Probably haven't discovered it as of this moment. Again, recording in post here because I wanted to ensure that the game was captured in as smooth as possible frame rate. So I decided to not record myself speaking at the same time because I'm still fairly new to the whole recording thing in general, and I'm still getting to know this laptop. I haven't had it that long. It's pretty beefy, but it's still not the most high-end laptop you can get for this sort of thing, so I'm kind of just testing its boundaries as we go on. And even though I'm not what you would call a professional at this, and I'm not somebody who's looking to make money off of this or turn it into a career, I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and I'm hoping that my viewers are enjoying it as well. So I want to provide as close to professional quality as possible, even if I may not be what you might call a professional, so to speak. So I do like her spin dash ability, or whatever it's called. I probably shouldn't keep calling it that, just out of respect to the people who made this. And even though everybody knows by now that this started off as a Sonic fan game, but in my opinion, I think it was the right decision to make it its own entity. I think it deserves that, honestly, because this would have been a good Sonic fan game, but I think it turned into a potentially great game, you know, standing on its own two legs. I say potentially great because, again, even though I'm very impressed with it and I'm enjoying it, I don't want to throw praise out so easily. So I want to see more of the game before I go as far as to say, oh, this is a great game, you know, because I would call Sonic 3 and Knuckles a great game. In fact, if Sonic 3 and Knuckles had originally released as a full standalone game as was intended and not split up into two separate games, that probably would have stood as one of the greatest 2D side-scrollers of all time, undisputed. I mean, it would have been right up there with Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World, and I think people would have had a fine argument for saying it was the best 2D side-scrolling action platformer of all time. You know, definitely a contender. And the games are still fine on their own right, but separate, you know, they're just kind of short-lived experiences. But, you know, and, you know, there have been a lot of great games released over time, but if nothing else, this is a refreshing change of pace from the current climate of gaming in general. You don't see too many games like this anymore with as much care and attention put into them. I mean, just listen to the music, for example. I mean, this is somebody who not only knows us how to compose a compelling melody, but somebody who's obviously played a lot of video games and knows the kind of music that we want to hear when we're playing this type of game. I mean, it just fits so well, you know, which is one of the things that I think sold Sonic to so many people, you know, was the soundtrack has always been astounding. No matter what Sonic game you played, even if it was something terrible like, I don't know, Sonic Shuffle, you know, which honestly wasn't that bad, but, you know, it's definitely not the highlight of the series. But even that game had pretty good music, you know, or obvious Sonic 2006. We won't go into that, but it did have pretty good music, you know, for what it's worth. So, you know, this game certainly shades of Sonic in various areas, but, you know, it seems like it pays homage more than anything else. And everything it does, for the most part, it does right. The control is not perfect in the sense that some of the moves don't seem to flow as well as they could. Level design could be tightened up in a few areas, I think, but more often than not, you know, it's just a learning curve like anything else. Like back in the day, you had to really get a feel for games. You couldn't just jump in and just be a pro at it. And I have no problem with that. I think that the biggest detriment in playing this is the speed. You know, it looks like a Sonic game. It feels, for the most part, like a Sonic game, traditional Sonic game. So you kind of want to play it like Sonic sometimes, and you really can't because the spin and the running doesn't run quite the same way. You know, it's not quite as fast. The momentum isn't quite the same, so there's a bit of a learning curve there. But again, it's nothing, you know, it's nothing to fault the game for, really. You know, I do enjoy the approach to the levels here. Again, a multi-tiered, multiple paths. It seems like there are several ways to go about the stages in some instances. Platforming overall is pretty good. And I love the stage interactivity. It's one of the things I miss about the traditional Sonic games as well. And other platformers like the Super Mario Bros. Games, where you can actually do things in the stage outside of just jumping and attacking. You know, it makes the stages feel more like an actual place. You know, you're actually interacting with a real environment. I mean, a real virtual environment. But it just brings it to life that much more, and it gets you more involved, you know. You know, knocking down logs, you know, triggering events in the stage, you know, enemies leaving behind remnants that might have some effect on the stage, you know. Not the same gimmick from stage to stage. You're not just going to see boost pad after boost pad and nothing else, or spring after spring. You have unique set pieces to each level that you'll only find in that level. that really make it feel more like its own unique thing. And you know, I think the newer Sonic games kind of missed that, and that's what made the older games more enjoyable as well. You know, it made each stage a new experience in its own right, and so anybody can make a viable claim for having a favorite stage over another stage, because every stage brought something new to the table while also keeping what was good about the other stages. So I'm kind of getting the hang of the game a little bit more at this point, having a lot of fun here. I'm gonna have to see on my own time if there is a drowning feature just like the old Sonic games with the crazy creepy Jaws-like music. Also want to see if there's any standstill animations, because that's a nice throwback to 90s games. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, my trivia might be a bit rusty. I'm pretty sure Sonic the Hedgehog was the first video game to feature standstill animation, so that is the one that started it all. Yep, that little toe tapping showstopper himself. So I don't know why Sonic's been on my brain lately anyway. I haven't thought about Sonic as a character, as a series, in quite a long time. Kind of just, you know, cut myself off from that completely. And now, if this ain't a homage to Sonic, I don't know what is, you know. Nice little boulder chase. Surprised myself, I'm doing okay here. I mean, again, it's just mostly hold right to win here, but at the same time, I was caught off guard, but it didn't surprise me or freak me out too bad. I managed to not take a hit there, so not too bad. But yeah, every so often, fortune will favor me, as it will anyone. Every dog has its day, they say. And I'm just running along the wall and the ceiling for no particular reason, before I realize I have to come down here to engage the boss. And again, another throwback to Sonic, you know, where you have a boss who's appearing throughout the stage and culminates in a final showdown at the end of it all. Rather nice touch there. Just being quiet for a moment. I've been talking over this music too long. You really ought to enjoy the soundtrack a little bit more, I think so. Game's pretty forgiving with the health meter as well. I've taken quite a few hits and I have not died yet. I didn't realize until near the end that the red leaves were my health meter, because again, I wasn't dying, so I really didn't know what the damage indicator for this was. I knew it didn't work like the rings, but you know, kind of hard to say. But yes, I'd like to test out things like the standstill animation. I'd like to test out the drowning mechanic, all of which I'll do off screen. But there you have it. I think this was a better run of the game. You got to see both stages to the fullest, and there were a lot of paths that I didn't take, a lot of secrets that I didn't find, so by all means. And Shangmu Academy, I looked at that off screen. That's just a tutorial area, not too exciting, so I'm not going to show you that. Everybody, this has been Freedom Planet. Thanks for watching. Take care and see you soon.